Alleluia, 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 Alleluia. In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets. In these last days, He has spoken to us through the Son. Alleluia, Alleluia, Alleluia. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. The shepherds went in haste to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph and the infant lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known the message that had been told them about this child. All who heard it were amazed by what had been told them by the shepherds. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as it had been told to them. When 8 days were completed for his circumcision, he was named Jesus, the name given him by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. We like heroes. We like stories about heroes. Stories about those who are strong, who are successful, who overcome the odds. In the ancient myths, there was often little difference between the great heroes and the gods themselves. Perhaps this says something about what we like to think, what we think the divine must be like. Perhaps even we who follow a crucified God still think that God must be like the heroes we look up to, impervious to calamity, triumphing through unconquerable strength, unacquainted with weakness or failure. Would such a God have asked Mary to become his mother? Would such a God even have noticed the virgin betrothed to the poor, insignificant carpenter? That Mary is the Holy Mother of God gives us a glimpse of who God is. The Immaculate Heart of the Virgin, who kept all of these things, pondering them in her heart, begins to reveal to us the divine heart of God. The divine heart of the omnipotent, eternal God, so smitten by the heart of the sinless Virgin, who was humble in all ways imaginable, whose beauty was perhaps not the external kind found in Herod's court, but the kind that captured the heart of God so entirely that he desired none but her to be the mother of his eternal Son. The sinless heart of the Mother of God was from her immaculate conception, the kind of heart that you and I are meant to have, a heart attuned to the true voice of God, God whose own divine heart is revealed not to be made of iron, but one of infinite vulnerability. Mary's heart was not shriveled and stunted by sin, but was utterly open to God who is love, and therefore is vulnerable, completely susceptible to the fullness of suffering, because this is what it is to truly love. Mary opened her heart to God in freedom and trusting abandonment to the unknown expanse of suffering that the mother of love, the mother of suffering, must necessarily come to know. This is the heart of the Mother of God, the heart that does not steel itself against the cold realities of life so that it can forge the path to victory. Rather, the heart that opens itself to growth in a greater vulnerability, a capacity to suffer that makes it not stronger but weaker, not more capable but more dependent upon the one whose strength is perfected in weakness. This is the heart that keeps all of these things and ponders them, because it is overlooked and even rejected by the great ones and the mighty of this world. This is the heart that receives God himself, that conceives his Son in the womb of her heart before conceiving him in the womb of her virginal body. This is the kind of heart that God desires to find in each one of us, the kind of heart that he has already begun preparing in us through the grace of baptism and confirmation. This is the kind of heart that the Lord seeks to cultivate in us through the opportunities to experience suffering with him in a more vulnerable way, that by learning to cling to him through prayer and the sacraments, he might slowly heal the disease of sin in our shriveled and stunted hearts, and nourishing them with his love, help them to expand, to receive his love more fully through suffering, more like he suffered, more like his mother suffered. We are all about to have the opportunity to receive the fruit of divine suffering, love himself, who gives us his very body and blood to receive in the womb of our hearts. Let us ask his Holy Mother to give us the humble trust to allow him to make us into what we receive.